heart attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kiru's show here. Now, whenever we last left off, we learned a bit about Midoriya's, origins in this timeline, or this version of reality. Now, Midoriya, after speaking with Eri, he does leave, and go to meet up with the rest of the detectives. This being a little weird. Now, whenever Midoriya does arrive, you do have the top 10, along with the brains. And Telly is there. She is not considered to be one of the top 10, but more or less the smartest person in the facility. Now, you do have the top 10. Mirio Toga at number 1. Nejire and Tamaki are usually battling for top 2 spot. Usually Tamaki has it a lot, but Nejire, yeah. She's a lot more brutal in her tactics, so she can get a lot more information. Then there's the number 4 spot, which belongs to Midoriya. Then number 5, which I want to give to Momo. Number 6 being Toru. Number 7 being someone I have yet to introduce. Number 8. And number 9. Then number 10. Who is Toga. Let us continue. Midoriya, he does actually walk in. And walking in today, he does actually see the other detectives. And number 7 does stare at him, along with 8 and 9. Simply just watching him. They're very cautious. They've heard a little bit of tales and stories. Not really too sure. The guy is basically a workaholic. He praises the Foundation for what it actually is, or at least what he believes it to be. A place that saved him, a home and a family. He always works hard and tries. And he's willing to exploit any avenue he can and look into it. Whereas Mirio, he simply does the opposite. Any avenue that he doesn't think is worth pursuing, he throws away, not wasting time on it, since that is something that a child would do. Now, this is whenever Intelli does actually walk in, and begin to talk, telling them all that they're here because of a very, very delicate piece of information she has found out. She has found out that in roughly about 48 hours, there is going to be a very, very big and widespread attack all over the city. They believe that the resistance is going to attack their warehouses and try and cripple them for about a couple of days to roughly weeks. They're going to be trying to do this in order to slow us down. And if they are successful, then we are going to bring in outside help. And if that gets attacked, then we are on our own. The supplies and resources that we are being given from those places is quite simple. But, well, there's ulterior methods. Her simply just stating that these warehouses, they also do contain research information and files, very sensitive ones. And if they get their hands on it, no one here will be safe. In fact, her simply just looking at number 7, saying that even though he has gone through that operation, they do not believe that it would be reliable, let alone easy for him right now. Now, Dobby, he does state that he'll be perfectly fine. It took him a long while, but he finally has what he wants. And he is going to prove himself. As you do have Dobby. However, he is different. Instead of his fire quirk, he has an ice quirk. Now, Dobby does go on stating that if he is going to fight, then he's going to do it on his own terms. If they want him to do anything, he'll do it. But he is one of their freelancers. The fact that I'm even in this room does show how good I am, compared to all of you. Besides, you simply just pay me, and I do whatever you want. Hell, you already basically have my contract. Why not just hire me? Because we are quite aware of your flexibility and the way you do work. The reason why we do not hire you on is because we'd have to go through a lot of, well, loopholes and have to buy out your contracts. So, listen. Her looking at number 8 and number 9, saying that they need to work fast. And if they really believe that this is going to work, well, she implores them to try. As number 8 and number 9, they do not. And number 8 and number 9, these detectives, well, it is Ibarra and Kendo. These two are very dangerous. In fact, Ibarra, well, she's not known for ruthlessness, but she can be quite the devastating foe, especially whenever she does try to be. And Kendo, yeah, she'll more or less just bludgeon you to death with any object she can pick up. Now, all 10 of these people are talking and dividing up teams. Now, Midoriya, yeah, he's ready. Hearing that they're dividing up teams, he's going to be doing this, as he simply just splits off into different duplicates. And this does actually interest Mirio, asking Midoriya exactly what is that ability. Well, you said we're dividing, so divide and conquer. Really? Well, that would be useful, but I do have a question. What's the flaw in it? Well, you basically need to multitask. Right now, I'm able to see in every direction. My vision's weird, and trying to get used to it's a bit odd. I see. But that's it. Besides, I'm currently working on a quirk to help me combat this. So, I can try and explain it later, sir. Well, I guess. Now, the teams are divided into teams of roughly about 2, I want to say. One Midoriya with another person, and they each do go to a separate warehouse. Now, Midoriya, he simply is dividing himself a bit too far. In fact, there is a little bit of mental strain, or, well, backlash, coming from this ability. He doesn't really like it very well, since he's basically setting his brain into overdrive using this ability. That is the downside. If you overuse this ability, you have a large chance of causing brain hemorrhaging, and possibly even sending your body and mind into an aneurysm. Meaning that if you overuse this ability by accident, it can cause permanent damage to your brain. And Midoriya, he's already pushing it a little bit. He already went over a safety regulation with his quirk. If he feels it straining his body, not to use it. Now, with that being said, while they are investigating the warehouses, let us cut over to the Resistance with Katie. Now, Katie has been with the Resistance for a little over a year, ever since reality was rewritten, and she was basically tossed out. She's trying to find a good way to do this, to simply approach her own brother. For all of her life, she's always felt like there was something missing. She couldn't tell if it was because she didn't think her quirk was right, she didn't think anything was right, and now she knows why. It's a simple fact of her mother and father were never destined to meet. In fact, that's sort of a little hard hearing. And she knows for sure that it's the truth. Especially since she's seen something. She can't really explain it. But it's just somewhat like concrete evidence. And she's tried looking into her brother in this timeline. He's merciless. And he has been, ever since he was a child. Then again, it wouldn't make sense. You take someone who can bend reality, and as far as she knows, he's been alive for far longer than any person has ever been. He's been alive for so long that he's probably done everything. Could do anything, really. He could be, well, a warlord. He could be a scientist, he could be a soldier. He could have been to space. Hell, he definitely probably was at space one time. And if he wanted to, he could have done this. Rewrite reality to this place. But as far as she knows, he never had the thought cross his mind. But there is what is happening now. Was this her brother's doing? Was this because he had a bad thought? Something that happened? Whatever the organization did, whatever they did to her and everyone else, it's clearly bad. It's all wrong. She knows her brother. The way he acted in school. Well, back then, whenever you could still be called a hero without murdering someone, he did seem nice. And he did always try and help people. And talk with them. Now that she is thinking about it, some of the interactions she thinks she saw with Midoriya, well, he may have straight up staged them, just to simply get closer to another person. It kind of makes sense. But what about now? Now, she does ask Bakugo a question. Bakugo, yeah. He's been hiding, and in fact, he's very reluctant to give her an answer. Her simply just asking Bakugo, who she tried to explain everything. She's from a place where this all never happened. Bakugo just thinking that she's some crazy chick. However, looking up her ID, finds something odd. Whenever they rewrote her, they wrote her as an agent, meaning that she's supposed to be working for the organization. During the first month, she went in and tried to do her job, apparently. However, after things went too deep or too far, yeah, she couldn't take it anymore. She simply saw and gathered quite a lot of information. Then, they were able to leave. She left and gave the information to Bakugo, who used it to plan out attacks for the Resistance. People who want to free humanity from the organization. Now, along with that, she does actually ask Bakugo about his past with her brother. This being a very, very odd topic to discuss. Midoriya, well, whenever they were growing up, was quite the odd kid. He doesn't remember a lot about him. He does remember that whenever he went to go get his quirk checked out, well, he himself was swept up. The two were taken, and he always thought Midoriya was the odd one. However, watching his quirk now, and the way it grew, the guy's insane. The guy can quite literally be a one-man army if he wanted to. And the organization, they have Midoriya on a tight leash. It started out when they were very, very young. Bakugo and Midoriya used to take classes together. These classes on how to be an agent. Then, when Midoriya started to show off these more extravagant quirks, fire, ice, lightning, anything really, they took him away. The last time he saw them, they were both at the age of 8. And the next time he saw him was not easy. Both of them were training, and in fact, going to their agency's school. They were supposed to, quite simply, hunt down and capture a resistance member, and find out what was going on. Midoriya, he was ready for it. He was excited. He was willing to do anything to prove his worth. Then, well, there it was. What I saw next. He only needed one alive. He didn't care about the rest. Everyone was supposed to capture one. That was how that worked. The organization, though, they saw it differently. Midoriya murdered every single person in that room. And a room full of over 100 people. Only 3 walked out of there alive. Bakugo, Midoriya, and the man he captured. Then again, the man being alive is up for debate. Midoriya, he personally brought in his own father. And Bakugo heard about that. Midoriya does not care for family ties anymore. They, quite simply, don't bother him. Then there's what happened next. After getting information out of Midoriya's dad, they gave Midoriya an assignment. They handed him an empty gun and told him that it was loaded, and to put bullets in his father's head. His father would have to try and convince him otherwise. As soon as he started to talk, Midoriya pulled the trigger, without even hesitating, and he passed. They then took Hisashi away, where he was executed. Now, Midoriya may have passed, but that opened up Bakugo's eyes. He always thought that the organization, they were good. Sometimes they do bad things. Do things that make his, well, skin crawl. That make him uncomfortable. But he'll do them. However, seeing that many people dismembered, and that much blood, it sort of knocked something back into place. He couldn't do it. So he himself ran. Midoriya tried to stop him. And the two fought. Eventually, more of the people who were, well, there that day, they actually helped him. The ones that didn't want to do it, they helped. And they've been running ever since. Midoriya was taken down by the guy with the shadow quirk. While Bakugo was fighting him and distracting him, the guy simply pulled Midoriya's arms and legs into a portal. Or at least a shadow. When Midoriya tried to get out, yeah, he couldn't do it. He basically had Midoriya stuck. And he wouldn't give up. Whenever the guy left, Midoriya simply did something that quite a lot of people remember that day. A lot of the people from Class 1B and, well, other people who retook their test, they saw Midoriya simply rip his body apart. He used some strange ability, or some strange quirk. He broke the matter down that he was stuck in. And he then pulled his arms and legs back together. And the floor was torn up and ripped up to hell. Now, Bakugo then tells her one thing. He tells Katie that her brother can't be reasoned with, especially after what she did. This being confusing. To which he goes on to say, up to his knowledge, whenever she attacked his home and tried to talk with him, their fight, it didn't go very well. One of our guys had to pull her out of the fire, and he died in the process. But she was able to get away. And it somewhat was a cause for concern. The only reason why they let her stay is because she's a very, very talented fighter. And actually has a pretty useful quirk. This being something that Bakugo tells her, along with explaining to her. After Bakugo met up with Midoriya one day and put that bullet in him, yeah, he's been different. As far as he knows, he still does maintain that ruthless persona. Monoma said that he was simply toying around. And, if you can't tell, Jack the fucking Ripper, yeah, that guy's still very much in there. That sadistic personality I know is buried deep in that guy's mind. What scares me isn't the fact that he has it. What scares me is the fact of what I know he can do with it. I've seen it all firsthand, Katie. Just, if you see him, pray you're not there. Because everyone knows. Jack be quick. Jack be nimble. And he will take your fucking head off. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing night. Catch you guys in the next part.